welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Mirror Ball. I'm your host, Melina, and I run Mixing It Up with Melina over on Instagram and Facebook. Today is more than likely going to be a short episode. You're in luck. But before we get into that, before we talk about the hosts, the judges, we set the tone, the contestants, and the fun of season 12, as always, get comfy and get cozy. My goal with this channel, while it might seem simple to many of you, I love the fact that you can watch this on YouTube or just turn it on and listen while you're doing something. Many of you will listen to this while you're in the car. Use your blinker and wear your seatbelt. But my goal with this is that we are two best friends chatting over one of our favorite shows and reminiscing on the times and the people that were on it. Sometimes the seasons are so packed full of juiciness that my episodes are a little longer because I want to be able to give all of that to you guys. And then other times, seasons are really good. There's just not a lot of like monumental, pivotal moments that stand out, but we still want to talk about the contestants that were on it. So with that said, yet again, get comfy, get cozy, grab your drink of choice, whether it's water, don't forget to drink that, coffee, energy drink, wine, cocktail, whatever time of the day it is for you, and let's reminisce together. Today, as always, I'm doing a Diet Coke, but I'm gonna do it straight from the can because my husband told me to. So here's to you, babe. Let's set the tone, season 12. We are in spring 2011. This is the first year. This is probably, for me, one of the bigger highlights of this season is that the troupe is introduced, which means troupe is the background dancers. They enhance the production of the show. Many feel season 12 is when that shift really, we went from a ballroom dancing competition show, which was just the strict ballroom dance, here you go, to we are now more of a same ballroom competition show, but we're adding a huge layer of production to it. So with that being said, the troupe is introduced. But we are in spring 2011. We have the same judges, the same hosts. I guess I should say their names just in case this is your first episode. Our judges are the late and great Len Goodman, Carrie Ann, and Bruno. Spoiler alert, 2 of the 3. The third, Len does pass away. We'll talk about that in that year coming up. But we have a long time with him still, thankfully. And then Bruno and Carrie Ann to this day are still judges of the show, which I have said before, and I will continue to say again, says something for the show itself and the creators of it and what they bring, that these judges want to continue to stay on there. And then that says something for the judges, because in a world where Hollywood likes to throw things at us, the fact that these judges have remained the same is crazy in itself too. So it's very, very cool to still have that. We're going into season 35. And yes, one of you asked me to do kind of like a deep dive into the judges and then kind of give a speculation of what I think the judging panel will look like, because there is rumor, speculation. I think for many of you hope that there is some sort of shift in the judging panel. I digress. Okay, focus. Hosts, we have Tom and Brooke still, which is great. Let's talk about your partnerships, and each one of them we'll dive a little bit into. I think no new pros this season. Again, we do have some returning pros that we've had in the past, and then there are others who are not on this season, but have been in the past. So let's get into season 12. Let's start with who went home first. Pulling up all of my notes. Y'all should be so proud of me. I now use my computer because there's just so more and more notes. If you're new here, I write, my notebook is still here because I have thoughts throughout my week of before filming, but then I put everything onto my computer, and I'm very old school. So yay me. Okay. So first up to season 12 was Mike Catherwood, a radio host. I was unfamiliar with him. I really don't even know what he does today, but he was big enough at some point in his career, and may still be, to be on the show. He was partnered with, y'all, one of my absolute favorites, Lacey. Mike and Lacey, it was kind of cool because they had a really great partnership. At one point, I was reading a interview he did after they went home, where he was saying, like, production, they really knew how to put on a great show for the camera. Lacey had a partner. I think Mike might have been married at the time, but the camera and the view, a fan view, thought that the two of them might be an item. There was a lot of great chemistry there, but the two of them knew that it wasn't that, and they just were really good friends. They kicked it off right from the beginning. They had a lot of respect for each other, and they just played into that for the camera. But unfortunately, they were the first to go home. I believe it was Bruno who touched on they had great chemistry, but no dance ability on his end. And he admitted that that was not his thing. And so that was the first to go home. The next to go home was the wonderful Wendy Williams. I used to DVR her show. I'm a huge Wendy Williams fan. Justice for Wendy Williams. If you know, you know. She is partnered with Tony Dovolani. They also had a great partnership. She went home very early. She is not a great dancer. No, for as much as I love her, I have no problem admitting, although she seemed to have a problem admitting that she wasn't a great dancer. She did not take leaving early so well. I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of reasons that go through the head. But I did find something that I found to be a little comical. And for someone who watched her show daily, I don't remember this, but when she was voted off, she did so she has her daily talk show Monday through Friday. She did an interview with herself to talk about her time on the show. I'm going to say maybe I'll show you a clip. I'm going to see if I can find a clip, but I can't imagine if it had to have been funny. But yeah, she did not take going home well, but she and Tony did get along very well. Honestly, I think everyone this season got along remarkably well with their partner. Spoiler alert, I suppose. And that, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that says so much for the casting director, Dina, and her team and how they did that. I think it's very important. Yes, you want ratings. Yes, you want to push those boundaries. Yes, you will make probably tough decisions that may or may not ruffle a lot of feathers. But at the end of the day, I think they do a remarkable job for the most part. For the most part of the partnerships. And this season is a great example. Okay, so next up to go is my boy, Sugar Ray Leonard, a famous boxer, retired boxer. Sugar Ray, to me, I know Sugar Ray because he's a type 1 diabetic. I am a type 1 diabetic. And as I got diagnosed when I was 6, which was almost 34 years ago, and he was one of the first celebrities that I knew of. Now, I was not into boxing whatsoever, but for a 6-year-old to know that there was someone of celebrity status that was talking, him and Mary Tyler Moore, those were like my first two like diabetic buddies that I, at a young age, and they were so much older. Anywho, you're not here for any of that. Yes. So Sugar Ray Leonard was partnered with my girl, Anna, and they had a really fun partnership too. Anna has said in the past many times, including to me, that she really, really enjoyed her time with Sugar Ray. And I don't know if we should be calling him Sugar. Actually, I think there's a whole different name he goes by, but we're going to go with the celebrity name. Then we have the beautiful Petra Němcová, partnered with Dmitry. Dmitry comes back. They have a beautiful partnership. Petra is a famous supermodel, but she also became a global. People knew her because there was that horrible tsunami. Oh, I should have written like the year down. Maybe it's in my notes. Hang on. I'll go backwards. But there was a horrible tsunami where she was on a vacation with her boyfriend at the time. And I think they had just got engaged. Yes, okay. I should have followed my gut. A 2004 tsunami. She survived. Unfortunately, I just don't think that she had as big enough fan base. But they were very beautiful to watch together. I even Googled, because in my mind, I felt like they dated. But Google says they did not. So, but they were very lovely to watch. Okay, next up we have Chris Jericho enter the ballroom, who is the famous WWE wrestler, partnered with Cheryl Burke. And if you are new here, I, for whatever reason, never resonated with Cheryl. I liked her on a surface level, but there was a lot more to her that I was just never a fan of. So their partnerships were always really hard for me to appreciate and enjoy. However, this is one season where I really felt he lightened her up. I felt like there was something going on with, I don't know, I very much like them together. And I will say this season, my Andy Richter award was very tough for me to pick. And I had several of them, and Chris being one of them. He didn't last nearly as long as some of the others I was considering, but there was just something about Chris and something about Chris and Cheryl. They were just this unexpected duo that did really well together. And I actually really liked them a lot. I was sad to see them go. Okay, so next up we have another girl next door Playboy model enter the ballroom. We had Kendra Wilkinson. So you say her name right? Kendra Wilkinson. Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to get better with the names, but okay, so Kendra and Louie were together. I think Louie was a great partner for her because she was nervous. I'm so proud of her for lasting as long as she did, considering how nervous. I remember specifically, like, you could see how nervous the girl was. Hang on, I have notes about it. You could physically see her shaking from being so nervous. The fear of the stage and the audience made her dizzy. Which is wild to me. I wonder if it's like the live audience, because I feel like that would play a huge role in it, because she's beautiful. She gets, takes her clothes off in front of people for the photos at that time of her life. So I wonder if it is that. And then the fear of, I think all of us suffer from something that might be new to us, out of our comfort zone. The embarrassment of like not being successful at it. And then you take in like the celebrity status, and social media was growing rapidly at this point. And yeah, so with Kendra, there was, yes, her and Lou got along really well, but there were moments and things that I was reading on her and Louie were like, she got irritated easy. She was short with him at times. I don't think it was more so her and Louie not getting along versus that was just how she dealt with things at that time in her life. Maybe more of like a reactive personality, especially when put into such like a weird spot for her. I think there was just a lot. She was also going through a lot personally. And it's hard for some people, many people, to compartmentalize. So anyways, she ended up having a great run. She also was someone I was considering for the Andy Richter Award. So next on the list is Romeo. Romeo was supposed to be on season 2 of Dancing with the Stars. He was partnered with Ashley Del Grosso Costa, and had to pull out literally 2 weeks before the premiere because he got an injury, although Ashley speculates that he was able to just get out of that. However, his dad, Master P, stepped in, and that's that, if you remember. Go check it out on my episodes. Ashley and I actually even talk about it on one of my episodes. Romeo decides 2011 is his year to shine on Dancing with the Stars, and honestly, I'm so glad he waited, because I don't know if he would have been in a good place, as good of a place as he was, not because of his partner. Ashley would have definitely done well, but I think as you get older, you get more mature and things like that. Anyways, Romeo is partnered with Chelsea Hightower. These two are great together. They look great together, and they even go on a date for just I think it was like 2 months, maybe that. What I liked about Romeo was very protective of Chelsea, and they had a great partnership. And so they did go on to go to 5th. I was surprised he went home, but but I thought that was a good run. And I think that, again, I was glad that he was able to finally do the show. Then after that, in 4th place, we had Ralph Macchio. I think I said that right. The Karate Kid. Partnered with Karina. Ralph inevitably is who I went with for the Andy Richter Award because 1, I was not expecting that. 2, he was trying, he was busting his butt. Not to say, I think everyone this season really was putting the work in, which is a wonderful thing to see. But for some reason, Ralph was the one that stuck out to me as being the Andy Richter Award. And I really think he surprised many people and then grew to love it. And him and Karina had such a wonderful partnership. I really enjoyed them. So yes, congratulations, Ralph. You got the Andy Richter Award. Okay, so we have the top 2. Your top 2 are Kirstie Alley from Cheers, which most people know her by. A lot of us my age might know her from It Takes Two, partnered with Max. These 2 are a pair I would have never put together on paper. These 2, based on what I knew of their personalities, I would have said this was a catastrophe waiting to happen. 2 very strong personalities, 2 people that didn't remind me of being very flexible with those personalities. And yet these 2, I ended up loving so much. So much. They were a good balance. Now, don't get me wrong. There were definitely moments of a little bit of hostility. There were angry moments. They had a couple moments throughout their time on the show where like she fell on Max. Max's leg cramped up and she ended up falling on him, but they still persevered. And then she had a shoe come off in a different week, a couple weeks later, and kept dancing. Like, I mean, you would have thought she had dance background. Their banter was so funny. If you know Kirstie Alley, remember her. She's hilarious. And then we have Hines Ward and Kim Johnson, who ultimately won. Hines Ward is a former NFL legend of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they were amazing. They were amazing. I did really like them together, but I was rooting, in true Molina ways, rooting for whoever came in second. That just seems to be how I go. But honestly, like this, again, the top 5 were very, very good. I was going to say the whole season, I can't keep stopping. The whole season had really hard workers that wanted to be there and were enjoying their time. The top 5, 100% would be the 5 that I would have chosen. But ultimately, I would have gone with Kirstie and Max. And yeah, Kim, speaking of injuries with Kirstie, Kim and Hines, I don't know what week it was. Hang on, let me check my notes. Yeah, I'll have to go back and double check, and if you're curious, just message me. I'll know the answer by then. But Kim got hurt during rehearsal in between those 2 trying to figure out a lift, and her neck, there was a neck injury that happened. She was rushed to the hospital, and she ended up wearing a neck brace for a long time following that, but she was able to be released enough to be able to continue dancing and do the show, which is insane, and very, very grateful it was not worse than what it was. The neck brace may or may not have just been precautionary, but hey, if it's your neck and you're dancing and you want to continue dancing and doing the crazy choreography that she was doing with Hines, do all the precautionary needs that you need. Anywho, yes, so Hines ultimately ended up winning that season, and you know, it was a good one. It was for sure a good one. And I think Hines has he comes back to the show quite a bit and still talks about his time on Dancing with the Stars. And he always speaks so highly of his time on the show. Kirstie also, she did pass away. When did she pass away? Let's find out. I know it was unexpected. It was very sad. I remember crying when I found that out. In 2022, she had colon cancer, and it had only been discovered shortly before she passed away. So yeah, unfortunately, we lost her suddenly. Kirstie actually comes back to do the All-Star season, which is in a few seasons from now. For some reason, I thought that was season 12, but clearly I was wrong. But Kirstie and Max stayed in touch. They stayed friends, and they really had a great bond together. And again, on paper, if I was in the casting room, I would have not voted yes on this. And that's why I don't work there. Although, Dina, teach me your ways. I think if I had to pick a juicy moment of season 12, this is the year, and I think I've said this as we have progressed in the last few seasons, but this was the season it became very evident that Max was not a fan of the judges in a professional manner. I'm sure maybe he I don't know how he felt about them outside of the workplace, but in the ballroom, their judging critiques, their scoring decisions, Max made it very clear. And so the thing that I first saw of when I was researching season 12, so many headlines were of bad boy Max. Literally, that's what they said. And I think he ate that reputation up. He was like, okay, you guys want me to be the bad boy? You ain't seen nothing yet. And if you know Max, I can just see it in my head. But this was the season where it became very evident that he was not a fan. And listen, unfortunately, it only gets just a bit worse before it gets better. And that is coming up, and we will go a little bit more in depth into the Max and Hope season. And that, my friends, wraps up season 12, Beyond the Mirror Ball. I'm your host, Melina. Be sure, please, please, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave any comments of your thoughts down below, or shoot me a message over on Instagram and Facebook at Mixing It Up with Melina. Someone asked me last week, I have a new follower, hi by the way, why I chose Mixing It Up with Melina. So real quick, I'm going to just touch on that. When I started this page 3 years ago, it initially started as a pop culture page. I was talking about different TV shows, different celebrity information like breakups, babies, marriages, all of the things. I was wanted to be like a one-stop shop for celebrity pop culture. I was sharing filming locations and fun facts and all of the different things. And throughout my 3 years, I guess it's 2 years ago now, I went essentially viral for my Dancing with the Stars updates and information. And so I started leaning more into that while still mixing other things into it. Get it? Mixing it up with Melina. I was also, I'm a former bartender of 10 plus years. So I thought that was kind of my original logo was a martini glass, mixing up with Melina, one-stop shop for all things pop culture, mixing up all the information. That is where my head was at 3 years ago. Then I kind of kicked off and gained a ton of followers through Dancing with the Stars and was getting a lot of great feedback. And essentially last year, probably about this time last year, I chose to go just all in on Dancing with the Stars. So this page is completely Dancing with the Stars. I thought about changing my name, but maybe I want to change it back and be that one-stop shop one day. But for now, I'm enjoying being your choice and favorite for all things Dancing with the Stars. So thank you again for being here. Please feel free to share with your friends and your family, your coworkers. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. Thanks.